we're all clear, so send Harambe 20, that's Swahili means let's go with Jumbo, everyone. I am Gary from Gettysburg, up here driving from Dakota Safaris with the Rocky Wildlife Reserve. The reserve was established in 1971 to protect the local wildlife. We're going to enter into the reserve through the Little Prairie Forest. There's only two major biotypes within the reserve. The others in Savannah, we'll see that in just a little bit. Now, if you are going to take photos, my suggestion for you is take as many as you can, as quickly as you can. We're not allowed to stop for every animal. See, when we do stop, you stop for only a few seconds at a time. You always have your cameras ready. Look over here on the right-hand side. That large, dark brown animal with the white face is kind of half hidden right now. That is an okapi. An okapi were the very last large animal to be discovered by Westerners in Africa. They weren't discovered by Europeans until 1901. Originally, only a couple of strips of their leg skin made it back to London for their initial identification. Based on that striped skin in London, it was originally described as a new species of zebra. Once a more complete specimen was found, though, they knew right away the okapi wasn't related to the zebra. In fact, it is a relative of the giraffe. It is the closest living relative of the giraffe, and just like giraffe, okapi have very long tongues. They can lick their eyes and ears. Their tongues are about 17, 18 inches long. Let's get around this corner. We'll see if maybe we get a look at her face. Difficult to see. She's staying hidden behind that tree. Water holes like this on the left are always important gathering places. I don't see anything for animals, and I don't see anything moving right down around the edge of the water. But we'll keep our eyes open. See if anything does come into view. Oh, check this out. Facing away from us, but still important to take a look at it. This is a black rhino, and the black rhinos have been particularly hard hit by poachers. Hundreds of thousands have been killed for their horns, and there are fewer than 5,000 left in all the world. Poachers kill them. They cut their horns off. Sometimes they cut the horns off before the animal's even dead. The horns are smuggled out of Africa. Most of them end up in either Vietnam or China, where they're ground up and they're used in traditional medicines, and some of them end up in the Middle East, where they're also carved into dagger handles. Because they become so scarce due to the poaching, their horns are literally worth more than their weight in gold. Now, the black rhino is a big, tough animal. It weighs about 3,000 pounds. Its skin can be up to an inch thick in spots, and it can charge at speeds of about 35 miles an hour. So they're really almost indestructible, except at the hands of humans. What they really need is a wild place to live, where people leave them alone. But in a world with more and more people all the time, and fewer and smaller wild places, we're never going to see the amount of black rhinos or other wildlife in the future that we've known in the past. The red antelope up on the hillside, if you're taking photos, great opportunity. Those are bongos. Bongos are very shy. They like to stay hidden in the bush, and we very seldom ever get a good look at them all the way out in the open. Now, the tan antelope, those are female greater kudu, and you know they're female because they don't have horns. Only male greater kudu have horns. And the male greater kudu is one of the largest antelopes in Africa, weighs as much as 750 pounds. Females, much smaller animals, so that's at around 450 pounds, slightly over that. We're approaching the Safi River, so keep your eyes open and be on the lookout for hippos. There is a large group of hippos that lives in the Safi. We're usually pretty fortunate to be able to spot some. In fact, they're in that small pool off to the right. Bad news is we can't stop here, guys. There will be another truck coming around that corner behind us in just a moment. It's not a safe place to stop. We'll try and find some up ahead where we can stop and maybe take a look. Hippo is off to the left behind that small island. Now we're going to pull up on the other side of the island. Looks like there's some over there that maybe are a little more visible. Hippos are one of the largest animals in Africa. Males weighing around 5,000 pounds, and newborn calves weigh around 85 pounds each. Usually the hippos will spend their entire day in the water, keeping their bodies nice and cool, and then in the evening and at nighttime they come up onto the riverbanks to graze on the vegetation. They'll eat about 150 pounds of grass and other vegetation a night. Whenever you see the hippos moving through the water, they may or may not be swimming. Hippos can swim, but usually if their feet can touch the riverbeds, they just walk across the river bottoms, and they can hold their breath for up to about 8 minutes at a time while they're moving around below the surface of the water. As we cross this bridge, take a look down to the left, you see my favorite river animals. Oh, crocodiles. Take a look at these. They get huge. They get to about 20 feet long, and they can weigh as much as 3/4 of a ton each. They are large enough, strong enough. Guys, got to be seated back there. Nothing between you and the crocodiles. I'll go slow for you, but sit down, stay safe, or I got to drive off. They are large enough, strong enough, and powerful enough that they can bring down big game animals like the zebra and the wildebeest, and they do bring them down. They have enough strength in their jaws that they can crush the bones of their prey animals. They're cold-blooded animals. As their bodies heat up during the day, you see them laying up on the banks with their mouths about half open. They do that to help regulate their internal body temperature. They are truly amazing animals. These guys still have a lot of growing to do. Find the longest crocodile out there. Add another 5-6 feet foot length, double its width. It's about how large the crocodile is ready to walk over there. Like I said before, amazing, amazing animals. We're leaving the forest part of the reserve and entering the savanna, and the savanna is a completely different ecosystem with an entirely different community of plants and animals living out there. Speaking of different, that upside down looking tree on the right, that is a baobab. It's a succulent tree species that can survive long periods of drought by storing water in its trunk and remaining leafless for about 9 months out of the year. Baobabs live to be about 2,000 years old, sometimes much older. All parts of them are used by man. Animals also use the baobab for food, as a source of moisture for shelter. The rainy season starts in South Africa around the end of September or early October, and that's when the succulent species like the baobab leaf out and green up. And when they do leaf out, they have a short 2 to 3 months to complete their active growth of the year. Before growing conditions dry out, they become dormant all over again. I saw quite a few animals out on the savanna a little bit earlier today. We should be able to catch up with some and get a look here just a little bit. The red mounds of earth that you see throughout the reserve are termite mounds. Termite mounds are as hard as concrete. Elephants use termite mounds for scratching posts when they're worn down by the elephants. Antelope will stand on top of them to look for predators hiding in the tall grass. Termite mounds are made up of nothing more than earth and termite saliva, all baked hard by the sun. And mining companies used to test the mineral content of termite mounds to determine what kind of minerals were located below the surface of the ground and what their relative concentrations were. Termite tunnels can extend as deep as a couple of 100 feet below the surface, and anything that's removed during the tunneling is brought up to the surface and deposited into the mounds. That made it a nice, easy way for the mining companies to get a quick snapshot of what kind of minerals are located below the surface. Ankole cattle off in the distance. See wildebeest out there as well. We'll get a look at this a little bit. That's where they like to cow. If you look off to the right, about 2 o'clock, you'll see a large cow out there. The cattle that you see in the reserve are Ankole cattle. Their horns get up to about 6 feet long, and on the big males, the horns can be over 20 inches in circumference around the base. Ankole cattle have lived side by side with the wildlife for hundreds of years, so they really have no negative impact on the wildlife this time. Any impact that they may have had occurred a long, long time ago. Historically and traditionally, Ankole cattle weren't used as a source of meat in Africa. They were accumulated and they were used as symbols of wealth. Originally, they were known as Egyptian cattle because they came from Egypt. About 2,000 years ago, they made the trip from Egypt to Ethiopia, and from Ethiopia they were dispersed to other parts of Africa. And the images of the Ankole cattle can be found in Egyptian tomb paintings dating back 4,000 years old. Giraffe just ahead of us over here on the left, we'll get a look in just a moment, and the wildebeest are on the right, we'll get a look at those as well. Giraffe are the tallest animals on Earth. A male reticulated giraffe can stand 18 to 20 feet tall as an adult and can weigh as much as 2,500 pounds, and the record's over 4,000 pounds. To give you an idea how big they really are, I stand 6'2". 20-foot male giraffe, I could walk underneath its belly without ever touching it. Baby giraffe at birth are somewhere around 6 feet tall, weigh somewhere around 190 pounds. Now the gray antelope off to the right are white-bearded wildebeest, and wildebeest take part in one of the largest animal migrations still to occur on the earth today. About 1.5 million wildebeest alone, including the calves, migrate across the savanna every year. When wildebeest calves are born, they're up walking, they're running with their mothers within just a few minutes of birth. Within about 10 to 15 minutes of being born, a wildebeest calf is able to keep up with its mom. As we you move past these rocks, if you look off to the left, you might spot some mandrill monkeys. We do spot them around the rocks on a pretty regular basis. Big elephant up ahead of us off to the right as well. Take a look at that in just a moment. There's some mandrills, check them out. Mandrills are the largest monkeys in Africa. Males get up to about 100 pounds, females a lot smaller. They only max get up to about 25 pounds each. Now the dominant male mandrill has bright red and blue coloration on his snout and on his backside. It was the dominant male that was the inspiration for Rafiki in the Lion King. Big elephant off the right, pretty good shot of it from right here. Elephants are the largest animals in Africa. Males can weigh as much as 6 tons each. Females weigh less than the males, and newborn baby elephants weighing around 300 pounds. Both male and female African elephants have tusks. That makes them different from the Asian elephants. Only the males have tusks. Mother elephants carry their babies for about 22 months before they're born, and when they are born, the baby elephants will spend 13 to 15 years with their mothers. And during that time, mother elephants teach their babies all about elephant education. Kind of good members of the herd. Another view of the elephant, that's what the other side looks like. Kind of completes the photo of. When you do spot herds of elephants, they're made up of females and younger at different ages. When the males get old enough, the matriarch of the herd and the other cows will drive the males away from the herd. And then they live all alone as bachelors like that elephant off to the right. They'll live in small bachelor groups, which is